It's me again. This is Jashay Miller. I petition the Constitution checks and balances due to corruption in the entire judicial branch of government. The lady you see is the newly appointed United States Attorney Loretta Lynch, who has been petitioned to clean up corruption in the United States Supreme Court, an unprecedented event requiring the Constitution's checks and balances due to corruption in the entire judicial branch of government. This next gentleman you see here is Mr. James B. Comey. Mr. Comey is the newly appointed director of the FBI, who I petition also due to corruption in the entire judicial branch of government. The FBI number one duty is to protect the citizens, protect them from their families, protect them from terrorists, international and domestic, and to protect them from corrupt government officials. Yes, I have petitioned the Constitution checks and balances due to corruption in the entire judicial branch of government. I've also petitioned the FBI Director, James B. Comey. The FBI's mission is to protect you, your children, community from terrorists, international and domestic, from cyber villains, and from corrupt government officials. As I say this, having petitioned the Constitution checks and balances, then I get a letter from the Evansville-Vanderburgh County Building Authority which says, we have received complaints concerning intimidating behavior as well as verbal threats made by you. As a result, you will no longer be permitted to enter any of the Civic Center complex buildings. Once again, blacks are no longer permitted in a public building. We supposed to got rid of this a long time ago. Now, what you have here is a threat by defamation of character, intimidating behavior, as well as verbal threats. Had I done this to an official in the Civic Center complex building, threatening, intimidating the workers in there, I would have been arrested. As a black man, I would have been arrested real fast, for real. Now, this is copies to the sheriff Wedding, the police chief Bolin, and Judge David Kiley. Now, here's the scenario. Defamation of character, you say I've intimidating behavior and verbal threats. I get stopped by the police. They say the same thing and shoot me dead. But I'm the one person in America that has petitioned the Constitution checks and balances due to corruption to prove this. It's showtime. Now, the reason why I introduced you to James B. Comey and to Loretta Lynch, United States Attorney General, and the FBI Director, respectfully, is because the predecessors were corrupt. Robert S. Mueller III was the FBI Director, and having petitioned this, they were a part of the corruption. When I say the entire judicial branch of government, I'm talking about the FBI too. When I say the entire judicial branch of government, and United States Attorney General Eric Holder is a part of that, I'm saying the entire judicial branch of government, an unprecedented event in history. So, now, you replace them you, newly appointed officials, and I petitioned the FBI director to protect me from these officials in Evansville. As I said, you defamation of character and put me in this mode, and I get stopped by the police, and then the police shoot and kill me, and then they present this document saying these things about me, and you just justified a killing with an ulterior motive to stop me from exposing corruption in government. It has also been petitioned to the United States Attorney General Loretta Lynch. This was May the 28th. I'm talking to the Assistant Principal Deputy Attorney General Gupta, because the Attorney General Loretta Lynch has not addressed this. It has started processing. The process is 60 to 90 days. Let's not do all of that. 60 days and it's time to dance. Showtime, let's get it on. Because with corruption in the United States Supreme Court, that affects any and all citizens of the United States. When you have done this to one of us, then you have done this to all of us. They protested all across the country for police brutality, and in doing so, got no justice. We sent in our representatives, Cornell Brooks, I've already said this, National Urban League, Mark Morial, man, the incomparable Al Sharpton, which everybody know it's a sellout. They're not doing nothing. They did all of this and waiting on the government to do something about it when it's government that is part of the corruption. The reason why I petitioned James B. Comey, FBI director, is not only to protect me as that citizen that petitioned the Constitution checks and balances, and the United States Attorney General Loretta Lynch. Now, with corruption in the United States Supreme Court, the motive for corruption is money and power. Money and power, $50 million, and to cover up the federal crime by Judge David Colley. Did I just say his name before? Because I know I did, and this is one of the carbon copies that they sent this to when they said I'm no longer permitted in a public building. You heard of such before? Let me say it again. When I petitioned your representative to represent you, as we've all elected these officials to represent us. And so, Larry Bouchon been petitioned to take this to the floor of the House to be recognized for the performance of the Constitution's checks and balances due to corruption. Now, this corruption being money and power, you have abuse of power. You have imposed slavery. I know, yeah, slavery they said has been abolished, but there is slavery. How you get enslaved? The new plantation. I said it, I'm gonna say it again. Okay? The prisons are the new plantation. Now, but the only way that they can imprison you is you must have been duly processed. Had you not been duly processed, they violate the 13th Amendment and the right to due process. These are rights guaranteed. In doing such, they impose slavery. When the Indiana courts imposed this slavery, It went all the way through. You're talking about the federal courts. You're talking about the appellate courts. And then you talking about the United States Supreme Court itself. And when they do that, that's a miscarriage of justice. An act that never should have been done by the United States Supreme Court. To leave a person unconstitutionally imprisoned in slavery in that position, for then they do an act of injustice against the law. Against the law. The United States Supreme Court. Let's get it on. See why I'm threatened? That is a threat to my life. Defamation of character, to say I have an intimidating behavior. So first things first. First thing you got to do is clear up and move it out of the way. No longer the motive. You have to take away the motive. And the motive is to deny $50 million and cover up the crime. So first thing first, the government owes, I said owed, for default on the right to due process and the miscarriage of justice. So we include abuse of power. Abuse of power. So the history on this, you got to know this. You got to know the history of this. Before the Constitution would be ratified, the people said, we have got to have a guaranteed right to freedom. Freedom, first and foremost, America's thing. Land of the free and home of the brave. So, and in doing so, you abused your power, because when a federal judge, being Supreme Court justices, are addressed by habeas corpus, because that is what our right to freedom, when you've been unconstitutionally imprisoned against the laws and the Constitution of the United States of America. Y'all listen real good to me. The way out is to file a habeas corpus. That is a power denied government, because our power right to freedom has to be guaranteed. And that is how you do it. Addressed to Sandra Day O'Connor, John Paul Stevens, and nothing was done about it. This is a duty. So that is dereliction of duty. What we got here? We got, in the United States Supreme Court now, you got corruption to deny me the $50 million for the illegal imprisonment and cover up the federal crime by Judge David Colley, which is the exclusion of jurors on account of race. Violates the Equal Protection Clause. So, first thing first, United States Attorney General Loretta Lynch, my $50 million must be forwarded immediately. Money is the answer to all questions. And the same thing posed to FBI Director James B. Comey. First thing first, make arrangements to get my $50 million to me immediately. Then I can protect myself. I have a right to protect myself, because the job that the police been doing in America since the Trayvon Martin killing has not been good for blacks at all. To trust you with my life in your hands, nobody can protect myself better than myself. But to protect myself, I must have my money that's already been owed. This is part of the motive. It's got to be taken out of the equation. As I said, already being processed. Had to go to the Deputy Assistant Attorney General, Gupta, being processed. Why do we have to go to the assistants? Okay, so we go to the assistant, and they're doing this. And as I say, 60 days. You've been covering up the Constitution's checks and balances for 5 years. So let's not make that 90 days, 60 days. Let's get it on. It's time. Showtime. Magic Johnson Lakers, showtime. It is time to get down. You see, while we doing this right here, how do you get a government cover-up without the help of the media? Without the help of the media, it cannot be done. So I'm a little bit disappointed in the Black Journalists Association. I'm a little bit disappointed, though it may not be totally his fault, in my man Tom Joyner and Karen Powers, who books for that show, because with the struggle for justice in America, and then come to find out you're not going to get no justice with the United States Supreme Court itself being corrupt. It don't work like that. You have to clean this up. That's why I'm calling on the FBI director. This has got to be cleaned up. Now, you're talking about cleaning up, and then you arrested members of the FIFA for corruption. Needed Sepp Blatter to step down. Well, morally, with any integrity, you cannot do this because you yourself are corrupt. So let FIFA and the whole world know that the United States judicial branch of government was corrupt when they did this. Now we know, okay, it's not y'all's fault, the ones before you, but you must assume what they did, because these are rights that are guaranteed. In doing so, this is your opportunity to do what is right. You're given a choice. You can do what's wrong, or you can do what's right. You can do the evil, or you can do what is good. So, for any offense, you cannot be corrupt yourself and enforce the law when you have not cleaned up your own cup. For you drink out of that cup, it's got to be cleaned on the inside. Now, this has not been 100 or 200 yard sprint for Usain Bolt, but more like 800 meters, where you must have speed, strength, and endurance. I've had to endure all of these things. And that would be a race run by David Rudisha, the 800 meters. And when I run this race, it's going to be a world record. Unprecedented event. First time in history that the United States, there's evidence that the United States Supreme Court is corrupt. You have the chairman of the Oversight Committee, Jason Chaffetz, the only committee chairman with authority to issue a subpoena without a committee vote. Now, the Oversight Commission is to hold the government accountable. Now, he's been petitioned 3 times to inform the public. That's what they do. Called blowing the whistle, and to deliver the facts to the American people. Now, the fact is, with the evidence to affirm irrefutable, the meaning. No way around this, beyond the shadow of a doubt, of the corruption in the United States Supreme Court, where it's not only for money and power, but took the right to freedom and failed to protect the right to freedom, is for them to deliver the facts to the American people, and they would not inform you. A solemn responsibility. So that's a duty. But not even the chairman of the Oversight Committee would inform you. there's slavery involved. With the slavery involved, you have our representatives Larry Bouchon, you have Senators Joe Donnelly and Dan Coates, and they, being members of the Senate, have the power to enforce the 13th Amendment. Did not do so. When you do not enforce the law, you have no rights. So they impose slavery. And when you do not do nothing about it, you condone slavery. Yeah, condoning slavery once again. What kind of official would do something like that when you've been petitioned? Oh, it's on blog too. All of this stuff I'm talking about is on blog. You go to Senator Joe Donnelly petition.blogspot.com and you will find this. Google Jashay Miller and go to that same thing. Senator Joe Donnelly petitions, and you will find this. Go to the blogs, and there they've been petitioned, but not have done this and informed Congress, the Senate, the House. Nobody, so everybody don't know. That's what I'm talking about. We're not gonna hide this no more, because as a First Amendment right, when there is corruption, the public must know, else it'd be a cover-up. So, the First Amendment, despite popular misunderstanding, because see, when I go to CNN, when I go to CBS, when I go to NBC, when I go to the Indianapolis Star, you want this published for the people to be informed, for the people to know about their rights being violated by government. And they don't do it. They say, we can publish what we want to publish. But why wouldn't they? What? That's what I'm talking about. If you got corruption and they reporting everybody's corruption but your own, something wrong with the picture. You cannot do that. You must have morals and integrity and taking an oath when you took this position. So, once again, despite popular misunderstanding, the right to freedom of the press guaranteed by the First Amendment is not very different from the right to freedom of speech. It allows an individual, I am the citizen, I am the individual, to express themselves through publication and dissemination. It is a part of the Constitution protection of freedom of expression. It does not afford members of the media any special rights or privileges not afforded to me. Can you dig it? Yeah. So, dissemination. The act of spreading something, especially information, widely. You cannot, as a citizen, spread this information all across the country without using the mass media, the CNNs, the CBS. Oh, and also the internet. Now, when you got the internet and they're not publishing it to let the people know once again, met by, yeah, we got corruption in the United States Supreme Court. Y'all don't got this on the internet. What's the point? You're part of the corruption. See, that's an enemy to progress. When institutions, highest law institutions, Yale, Harvard, Pennsylvania, Stanford, just to name a few, do not want you to come in and lecture and inform the students of this corruption. It is no wonder that we have corruption within our government, because these very same students graduate and become your representatives, your judges, and your lawyers. And if they all in cahoots, then we don't have a just government. That is the problem with this right now. So, this being said, and I'm going to do the universities a favor. I'm not going to name no names, or the deans who fail to educate. That's what this is, an education. That's why your First Amendment, to educate even the citizens on how these rights are also protected. Because I got the solution, the answer to the problem. So first thing first, get me my $50 million into my account. Come see me and pay me so that then I can protect myself. I can spread this to the nation regardless of those violating my rights. You see, because the purpose of speech clause has evidently been to protect parties to the free publication of matters of public concern. It is a matter of public concern when the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt, because they're going to go and they're going to arrest you for violating the law. But if you violating the law and they violating the law, then what gives them the right to go ahead and arrest you for anything? Got a problem right here. Must be addressed immediately. That's 60 days. Let's make that 50 days. May the 28th, June the 28th, July the 28th is 60 days up. First thing first, we're going to take the motive out and give me my $50 million owed for default, for miscarriage of justice, illegal imprisonment, abuse of power, power denied government. All of this I got against the government because I use the Bill of Rights. And the Bill of Rights are what you use against government, because these are the rights that government must protect. When they ain't protecting them, okay, Mr. FBI Director, let's get on this immediately, first thing first. Because the evils is prevented were not the censorship of press merely, but any action of the government by means of which it might prevent such free and general discussion of public matters as seems absolutely essential to prepare the people for an intelligent exercise of their rights as citizens. Those higher learning institutions in law, either for the intelligent exercise as the rights as citizens. Now, this free right discussion of public events and public matters is to enable every citizen at any time to bring the government and any person in authority to the bar of public opinion by any just criticism upon their conduct in the exercise of the authority which the people have conferred upon them. Now, as I said, I got the evidence. Primary is David Colley. The end up result was the United States Supreme Court. Not only abuse of power, not only corruption, not only dereliction of duty, but the United States Supreme Court also imposed slavery. And if they've done it, our right to freedom is threatened. Come on, protect me, FBI, to my right to freedom. Come on, protect me to my right to live, because I've been threatened. I've been threatened. You know how they do it. Defamation of character. You can't come in a public building. Who are you? I am Jashay Miller, and I've been sent to represent, and I represent we the people, right to freedom, justice, and equality. Thank you very much. And as I say again, FBI, take notice. United States Attorney General Loretta Lynch take action and do what your job requires. Protect me from the corrupt government officials. And, hey, first things first, pay me my $50 million as money is the answer to all questions. And then I can protect myself and I can inform the public, and it is time that we do the Constitution checks and balances to clean up the government. Checks and balances to prevent corruption. We got corruption. Justified checks and balances. To hold officials accountable. We got corrupt officials. Justification for the use of the checks and balances. It's time to dance. Showtime. Cut the games and let's get it on. The American people, everybody look. CNN, come on, give me my props. CBS, NBC, and all the rest of you. You know, it's so bad that Eyewitness News right here in Evansville and sit there and told me we're not going to give you that platform. In other words, the news, once again, as I told you, keeping and hiding this from the people, the public, that our right to freedom, our right to justice is no longer exists with corruption in the United States Supreme Court. That's how the whole appellate system works. But once the United States Supreme Court is found to be corrupt, the system no longer works, justifying the use of the Constitution checks and balances, petitioned by Ja'Shay Miller. And first things first, my $50 million, because money is the answer to all questions. No longer government oppression. And also, media, you seeing this, it's time to give me coverage. And the FBI, in that petition, I also petition you to inform the public. United States Attorney General Loretta Lynch to inform the public. This ain't no secret no more now. Let's do this. Thank you very much. We the people have spoken.